Hooverville. You've been listening to the Christians in concert at the Hammersmith Odeon. Producer was Pete Dauncey, the sound by Dave Mulkeen. Tomorrow at 7:30, Nancy Griffith. Next on Radio 1, John Peel with the top 10 from his Festive 50.
At 8:30, Richard Evans. Experts investigating the Pan Am jet disaster say it was caused by a bomb. The Department of Transport says it appears to have gone off soon after the plane crossed the Scottish border at a height of 31,000 feet. From Lockerbie, Geoffrey Wareham.
The evidence of a high explosive detonation came from two parts of the metal luggage pallets framework, and it was conclusive, said the chief investigator, Mick Charles. He added that the explosives residues recovered from the debris had been positively identified and were consistent with the use of a high-performance plastic explosive.
Other evidence collected by the Air Accidents Investigation Branch has led to a preliminary conclusion that the explosion took place soon after the aircraft had crossed the Scottish border, whilst it was in the cruise at 31,000 feet, and that this led directly to its destruction.
Mr. Charles said pieces of wreckage and passenger baggage were being examined by Defence Ministry scientists. Much investigative work remained to establish the nature of the bomb, what it was contained in, its location in the aircraft, and the sequence of events immediately following the detonation.
Police said the investigation had now turned into an international murder hunt. 3 events could have prompted the terrorists to plant the bomb: the détente between the Palestine Liberation Organization and the United States, the shooting down of an Iranian Airbus by an American warship in the Gulf, and the reopening of contacts between Iran and the West. Other news: a British diplomat in Iran has been allowed to visit a British businessman, Roger Cooper, who's still in prison there after 3 years. He said he found him in good heart. A transatlantic trade war appears likely after an American announcement of sanctions against a range of European imports. The common market is waiting until the sanctions come into force at the weekend before deciding whether to respond. But a hit list of foods imported from America has already been drawn up, including honey, nuts and tinned sweet corn. That's it. We'll have more news for you on 1 at 10:30.
There must be something I can say about honey nuts and tinned sweet corn, but it doesn't come immediately to mind, I confess. Well, I don't think I've ever heard the Christians sounding as good as they did just now on Radio 1 FM. Tonight, Scruffulous listeners, we have sessions for you from Bolt Thrower, Napalm Death, The Inspiral Carpets, Four Brothers, Wedding Present and Humanoid. We thought for a long time they were called Stacker, silly old us. That's Humanoid and Orbital Feeling, the first of them tonight in session. I stand before you tonight rather a tired man, actually, because I didn't get a great deal of sleep last night because our house, like a lot of houses out in East Anglia, is full of rats at the moment. And in the middle of the night and in the roof space, it does sound as though you've got a herd of wildebeest tramping around up there. And I was sort of like rushing around the house thinking, nothing you can do about it at all. What do I do if I'm confronted by a rat? Ask it to leave, but at the same time, obviously, you can't sleep terribly easily. At least I can't. From the wedding present, Unfaithful.
Like that since 1974. answers that are. Are you being unfaithful to me? Are you being unfaithful to me? Are you being unfaithful to me? Are you being unfaithful? So ashamed I had my ear pressed up to your bedroom door. You never change. If you want anything, you just take it all. I suppose you'd like me to go back home and wait for the usual telephone call. And are you being unfaithful to me? Are you being unfaithful to me? Are you being unfaithful to me? Are you being unfaithful?
Unfaithful from The Wedding Present. This is the session, of course, in which they recorded a version of Altered Image's Happy Birthday, and that'll crop up later in the programme. In the meantime, the Four Brothers.
Mwanangu mangwaro tate maiwe, chobali mangwaro tani fungaiwe. Mwanangu mangwaro tate maiwe, chobali mangwaro tani fungaiwe. Funda mwanangu saita zondoda, mbuga chashike kwita zondoda. Zita mwanangu saita zondoda, mazwa mazhinji kwita zondoda. Mwanangu mangwara tate maiwe, chobali mangwara tani fungaiwe. Mwanangu mangwara tate maiwe, chobali mangwara tani fungaiwe. Funda mwanangu saita zondoda, ambuwe chashike kwita zondoda. Zita mwanangu saita zondoda, bazwa mazhinji kwita zondoda. Kana chirikunda ndisikukunetsa, kana chidzidza ndisikukunetsa, kana chirikunda ndisikukunetsa, kana chidzidza ndisikukunetsa. Ndiri kugadzira upenyu hwako hwamangwana, ndiri kugadzira upenyu hwako hwamangwana. Wangu upenyu ndakagadzira kare, wangu upenyu ndakagadzira kare. Upenyu hwamangwana unoda fundo mwana mukadzi, upenyu hwamangwana unoda dzidzo mwana mukadzi, upenyu hwamangwana unoda fundo mwana mukadzi, upenyu hwamangwana unoda dzidzo mwana mukadzi. Funda mwanangu saita zondoda, ambuye chashike kwita zondoda. Dzidza mwanangu saita zondoda, mazwa akawande kwita zondoda. kugadzira upenyu wako hwamangwana, ndiri kugadzira upenyu wako hwamangwana. Wangu upenyu ndakagadzira kare, wangu upenyu ndakagadzira kare. Upenyu hwamangwana unoda fundo mwana mukadzi, upenyu hwamangwana unoda dzidzo mwana mukadzi, upenyu hwamangwana unoda fundo mwana mukadzi, upenyu hwamangwana unoda dzidzo mwana mukadzi. Funda mwanangu tsaita zvaunoda, anguvechasvike kuita zvaunoda. Dzidza mwanangu tsaita zvaunoda, mazuva akawande kuita zvaunoda.
Those are the four brothers, and of course all of this means that later on in the programme Vimbai will be getting played and I shall be having hysterics, and won't it all be fun? And if you're listening to last night's programme and to the Festive 50 up to number 11, then you'll have been as thrilled, no doubt, as I was, to see that at number 11 the Inspiral Carpets were there with Keep the Circle Around, and here they are in session, and this is So Far. I got a postcard sometime over the Christmas holiday period in the course of, and in this card, whoever it was who'd written it, they didn't sign it, up in Manchester, seemed to be under the impression that the Inspiral Carpets were collectively the Antichrist, but they're just fine by me, and that's called So Far. And equally fine by me are Napalm Death. Well, Bill and Ben, our technical team tonight, were singing along with those, and just look at their little phlegm-flecked faces. That's from Napalm Death, Moral Crusade, Worlds Apart, and Mad. Having a reading problem tonight, but don't worry about it, things are bound to improve. And from Bolt Thrower, Forgotten Existence. I just switched on the television monitor here in the studio, and what was on there? Andrew Lloyd Webber. I mean, there are certain things, aren't there? I mean, there might have been children watching at the holiday season. That was Bolt Thrower, and the first from them, which was Forgotten Existence. And the next now, well, we're back with Humanoid, and this one's called Slam, an office favourite, this. Well, a 10 from the slightly overweight British judge for that one. That's Humanoid in session and Slam. And from the wedding present, why are you being so reasonable now?
You've never mentioned this before. It seems I'm always last to know. Do I have to guess how you're going to feel each day? You never have a word to say. You should have told me. I don't understand why you didn't tell me. Surely you must know I hate what I'm doing. I don't want to upset you, but it's yourself you're fooling. The last thing I need is part 12 of the row. But just why are you being so reasonable now? I don't dare answer the phone, and when you call, I still pretend that I'm not home. I don't want to see you anymore. Oh, love, it's not just me I'm thinking of. No one can change that much in 3 days. It's not yours to take back. Surely you must know I hate what I'm doing. I don't want to upset you, but it's yourself you're fooling. The last thing I need is part 12 of the row. But just why are you being so reasonable now?
The wedding present, and why are you being so reasonable now? And obviously over the Christmas and New Year period I've been driving backwards and forwards quite a bit and covering a lot of miles, and quite grateful, frankly, for the number of police that are out there and stopping people. There seem to be one or two people, obviously you drive around, you see people think, they're over the limit, those blighters. And so quite glad to see the police, but it has meant that I've been stopped twice myself. And last night, as I was drifting along the A11 at a fairly reasonable tempo, I thought, and I was pulled over. And it's one of those things where they do say things that you think, they only say that on television. If you got out and said, 60 miles an hour, not fast enough for you then, sir? Anyway, the Inspiral Carpets and Monkey on My Back.
Lady
That's the Spiral Carpets and Monkey on My Back on a Monday night's programme, incidentally, when I shall have, obviously, a lot of interesting new records for you. We've got sessions from Carcass, their first for the programme, and a new one from Culture. And I've been promising you over the past couple of weeks, too, that if you did listen on Monday, I should have some interesting stuff for you from Japan, because a mate of mine came over. I mean, he lives in Tokyo, and he'd bought some records, got hold of some records for me, and brought them over, and disappointingly, about, 85% of them were just rubbish, frankly. But there are some good things in there, and I shall play you those, or some of them, on Monday night. This is from the Four Brothers. It's Vim Bai, and every time I play this, I have to have people standing by to fan me with peacock feather fans in case I become overheated.
Mwanasikana chichekera kwasesereni chitora moyo pakaperera shuku dzamwari ndiye akatora moyo kwada vangu ndega tiri vazhinji vanomurumbidza mesaka akapererwa tsitsi nengoni ndiye mwana uye wandaireva ndiye mwana uye wandataura limbai mwana akanaka mwanasikana chichekera kwasesereni chitora moyo pakaperera shungu dzamwari ndiye akatora moyo kwere vangu ndega tiri vazhinji vanomurumbidza mesaka akapererwa tsitsi nengoni limbai mwana akanaka mwanasikana chichekera kwasesereni chitora moyo pakaperera shungu dzamwari ndiye akatora moyo kwada vangu ndega tiri vazhinji vanomurumbidza mesaka akapererwa tsitsi nengoni ndiye mwana uye wandaitaura limbai mwana akanaka yakatora moyo kwada vangu ndega tiri vazhinji vanomurumbidza ane moyo usina vamwe moyo wake ndezere chando mtsipa wake wenge bhiza ramambo limbai mwana anetsika ye mwana uye wandataura limbai mwana akanaka yakatora moyo kwada vangu ndega tiri vazhinji vanomurumbidza ane moyo usina vamwe moyo wake ndezere chando mtsipa wake wenge bhiza ramambo limbai mwana anetsika yakatora moyo kwada vangu ndega tiri vazhinji vanomurumbidza ane moyo usina vamwe moyo wake ndezere chando mtsipa wake wenge bhiza ramambo limbai mwana anetsika ye mwana we wanataura rimbai mwana akanaka yakatora mwoyo kune wangu ndenga tiri vazhinji vanomurumbidza ane mwoyo usina vamwe mwoyo wake kumbezere chando mtsipa wake wenge bhiza ramambo rimbai mwana anetsika
Don't want to talk over a single golden moment of it. Those are the four brothers from Zimbabwe in session, and Vimbai. I have to confess that I've got, probably illegally, that on a tape in my car. Whenever I get depressed on a long journey, I put it on, and it raises my spirits immoderately, I must say. And somewhere in this building at this very moment, Richard Skinner will be changing into the uniform of a lieutenant in the Polish Air Force, which he wears every single time he does a programme. I've never asked him why, because you don't like to, do you? But he'll be continuing the 70s theme with a selection of LP tracks from the 70s, from 10:30 through till 2. And actually, I was listening to him as I was driving along and being stopped by the police yesterday or last night, and a most gratifying selection of the tunes he played as well. I mean, Captain Beefheart was there. I almost swooned away. This is from Napalm Death, and, well, 3 more tunes.
William Castle, the director of the motion picture you're about to see, I feel obligated to warn you that some of the sensations, some of the physical reaction which the actors on the screen will feel will also be experienced for the first time in motion picture history by certain members of this audience. I say certain members because some people are more sensitive to these mysterious electronic impulses than others. These unfortunate, sensitive people will at times feel a strange, tingling sensation. Others will feel it less strongly. But don't be alarmed, you can protect yourself. At any time you are conscious of a tingling sensation, you may obtain immediate relief by screaming. Don't be embarrassed about opening your mouth and letting rip with all you've got, because the person in the seat right next to you will probably be screaming too. And remember...
Right, replace your heads on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. OK, there we are. That's Bolt Thrower and Attack in the Aftermath. And before that, it was Napalm Death and Divine Death, CS, and Control. From The Wedding Present, their version of Happy Birthday.
Mr. President, Marilyn Monroe.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday, and I hop back to those nice nights. I remember always, I got such a fright. Seeing them in my dark, covered with my great big head. If they were me, and I was you, and I was you. If they were me, and I was you, and I was you. If they were me, and I was you, with your flags and presents on. Status quo, 25 years in the business. Happy birthday, and I hop back to those nice nights. I remember always, I got such a fright. Seeing them in my dark, covered with my great big head. If they were me, and I was you, and I was you. If they were me, and I was you, and I was you. If they were me, and I was you, with your flags and presents on. Happy birthday, happy birthday. 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 Happy birthday, happy birthday.
And very nice too, I think. The wedding present, and that's Happy Birthday from their session from earlier in the year, quite clearly. It could scarcely be from later in it, I suppose. And this is Humanoid. Humanoid, and that's called Jetstream Tokyo. And if this was anything other than 1988, an old man remembers, I'll follow it with a Japanese record. As it is, I'll follow it with In Spiral Carpets and Whiskey.
Let's get some skirts. Let's go
It would have been so easy to jump in there before the last one, you know, which was Sob, incidentally. The other three were Walls, Raging in Hell, Confirm or Die, that's Napalm, Death in Session. We'll be rejoining the Festive 50 pretty darn soon, in fact, immediately after this, from Bolt Thrower. And that's Bolt Thrower with Psychological Warfare, the last from them tonight, and the last session, in fact, as we now return to the Festive 50. If you weren't listening last night, I'll read from 20 on up. It was 20 was Deus, Sugar Cubes. At 19, Sonic Youth, Teenage Riot. At 18, House of Love and Love in a Car. At 17, My Bloody Valentine and Feed Me With Your Kiss. At 16, The Fall and Bremen Nacht. At 15, Wedding Present, I'm Not Always So Stupid. Notice the Nacht, very authentic, I thought that. At 14, The Fall, Cab It Up. At 13, Morrissey and Suedehead. At 12, Morrissey again and Every Day Is Like Sunday. And at number 11, The Inspiral Carpets and Keep the Circle Around. This is at number 10. I thought you prefer the LP version to the single version. That's the kind of decision that we real men have to take from time to time. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and that's at number 10 in the Festive 50 from the LP Tender Prey, The Mercy Seat. And this is at 9.
Talking to me, Christine, such a sense of loss, and the baby cry, Christine, and the whole world dragged us down, and the whole world turned aside, Christine. You're in deep, Christine, with a godlike glow, oh Christine, heart of the glory of me, chaos in the big sea.
Yezo. At number 9 in the Festive 50, that's The House of Love with Christine. And at number 8, and you heard this in session earlier on, The Wedding Present.
You've never mentioned this before. Oh, it seems I'm last to know? And do I have to guess how you're going to feel each day? You never have a word to say. You should have told me. I don't understand why you didn't tell me. Surely you must know I hate what I'm doing. I don't want to upset you, but it's yourself you're fooling. The last thing I need is part 12 of the row. But just why are you being so reasonable now? I don't dare answer the phone, and when you call, I still pretend that I'm not home. I don't want to see you anymore, oh love. It's not just me I'm thinking of. No one can change that much in 3 days. It's not yours to take back. Surely you must know I hate what I'm doing. I don't want to upset you, but it's yourself you're fooling. The last thing I need is part 12 of the row. But just why are you being so reasonable now?
Part 12 of The Row, and number 8 in this year's Festive 50, The Wedding Present, and Why Are You Being So Reasonable Now? Not quite sure why I paused there to make it more dramatic, more exciting. You can feel the tension, can't you? No? Oh well, never mind. This is 7.
And this I know, his teeth as white as snow. What a gas it was to see him walk her every day into a shady place. The lips she said it's Polly, 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 let's have a ball. It's Polly, 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 let's have a ball. It's Polly, 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 let's have a ball. Gigantic, 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 a big, big love. Gigantic, 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 a big, big love. Lovely legs they are, with a big black mess, with a hunk of love. He'd walk her every day into a shady place. He's like the dark, but I'd warn him. It's Polly, 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 let's have a ball. It's Polly, 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 let's have a ball. It's Polly, 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 let's have a ball. Gigantic, 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 a big, big love. Gigantic, 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 a big, big love.
Not a bad festive 50 so far for the Pixies. That's Gigantic, which is at number 7. They also had Bone Machine at 45, River Euphrates at 39, and Where Is My Mind at 30. I think that's all. And this is at number 6. And that's at number 6 in the Festive 50, My Bloody Valentine, and You Made Me Realise. And at number 17, remember, was there, Feed Me With Your Kiss. This is at 5.
Seen enough to eye you, but I've seen too much to try you. It's always weirdness why you dig it much too much to fry you. The weirdness flows between us, anyone can tell to see us. Freak scenes can't believe us, or can it just be cool and free us? see it. How it could work, just can't conceive it. But what I meant was just to leave it. Sometimes I don't thrill you. Sometimes I think I'll kill you. Just don't let me freak now, will you? 'Cause when I need a friend, it's still you. What a mess. What a mess.
On Blast First Records, that's Dinosaur Jr., number 5 in this year's Festive 50, and that's Freak Scene. And at number 4, the highest placed session recording of the year.
1, 2, 3, 4. Decide about the things that you said last night. If they mean nothing, or were they filled with hidden clues? Or can you really have stayed so free? Orange slices of that follow me. I get so lonely when I get back from
And that's number 4 in this year's Festive 50, the wedding present taken from one of our sessions. That's Take Me, I'm Yours. And now to number... It's exciting, isn't it? Can you feel the tension building? My goodness me, what fun we do have together. This is at number 3. Jesus and Mary Chain, that's at number 3 in the Festive 50, Sidewalking. And if you've been with me since we started at number 50, whenever it was, a few programmes ago, quite clearly, I think you'll have to agree with me, really, that it's an ultra-conservative Festive 50. I mean, for example, if you want to take the number of black records that have made into the Festive 50 this year, I mean, it's been mainly kind of young lads strumming guitars. A lot of good tunes, I don't deny that, but as I say, conservative. The only black records to get into there, number 50, Night of the Living Bassheads, Public Enemy. At number 37, Samora Michelle from Shalawambi from Zambia. And at number 28, Overlord X and 14 Days in May. And this is at number 2.
Your house, and your sister thought I was somebody else. I heard a laugh down the phone, and then the answer came that you weren't a stone. You know I never go there, because I hate to dance and you really don't care. Why don't you go on your own? How can you lie there and say that you'll come back alone? Oh, well, that's fine. I door. Before we go back in, what about those secret smiles that you were giving to him? Oh, just somebody you met. Well, I go out of my way, this is the thanks that I get. I'm just a slave to your greed. I'm not the kind of boyfriend that you need. But if you'd like me to go, you'll get the trouble from me just so long as I know. Oh well, that's fine. I don't care anymore. Nobody's twisting your arm. Here's the key, there's the door. Oh well, that's fine. I don't care anymore. Nobody's twisting your arm. There's the key, there's the door. Sing it away, Grappa. Well, that's fine. I don't care anymore. Nobody's twisting your arm. Here's the key, there's the door. Oh well, that's fine. I don't care anymore. Nobody's twisting your arm. Here's the key, there's the door. I don't love you anymore.
And number 2 in the Festive 50, that's the wedding present, and nobody's twisting your arm. The wedding present restricted to 5, at least so far, in this year's Festive 50, against 6 for the Fall, 4 for the Pixies, and 4 for Morrissey. And that brings us to this year's number 1.
Destroy the heart, she said. It'll make you wanna smash your head. Destroy the heart, she said. But I need it more than I need it. Destroy the heart, she said. You will suffer and be scared. Wear a sweat and never care. But I need it more than I need it. Yes, I need it more than I need it. Said I was never fun. Above the waist, completely done. Peter said I should make a life. Something solid, I should suffer. Peter said I had more to say than just the usual boys who were just really pains. Peter said I had so much more, but that she did not do any more for me. Destroy the heart, she said. Very soon we will be quite dead. She wanted freedom, not a shackled man. But I need her more than I need her. Yes, I need her more than I need her. Baby said I was never fun. Above the waist, completely done. Said I should make a life. Something solid, I should suffer. Destroy the heart, she said. It'll make you wanna smash your head. Destroy the heart, she said. But I need her more than I need her. Yes, I need her and I want her. Yes, I need her more than life itself.
Anyway, the best ending of any of the tracks in this year's Festive 50, that's this year's number one, Destroy the Heart, House of Love, on Creation Records, ending tonight's programme pretty clearly. After the news coming up next, 10:30 news. After that, a hatful of the super sensational sounds of the 70s with Richard Skinner through till 2 o'clock. I'll be back on Monday night with some excellent new records for you and sessions from Culture and Carcass, the latter their first for the programme. And that's it, really. Nothing else to say. Thanks for listening. Good night.
At 10:30, Richard Evans. It's been confirmed that a bomb explosion caused the Lockerbie air disaster. The Department of Transport's Air Accident Investigation Branch announced at a news conference in Lockerbie that samples from the crash debris showed evidence of a powerful plastic explosive having been used. In Washington, the State Department have confirmed that there was a large terrorist investigation underway even before the positive evidence of a bomb was fully established. That investigation is now expanding using the CIA and other intelligence services, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Details of the FBI's involvement have been given by its director, William Sessions, as Peter Ruff reports from Washington.
He went to some lengths to point out that at this stage the investigation is not only looking at the possibility of terrorism, but also some other form of criminal activity. The bomb looks as if it was in either the cargo or passenger baggage section of the Pan Am 747, but it's not yet clear how it got onto the plane, nor whether it was checked in at Frankfurt or London. There were, said Mr. Sessions, no clear suspects at the moment, but he did give a clue that the most likely answer was some sort of terrorist organisation.
The type of explosive is not yet positively identified as I understand it. I would not discuss it with you had it been identified, but I understand it's a highly capable explosive, such as might be the type of Semtex.
Semtex is a plastic explosive, hard to detect, which is known to be a favourite substance used by terrorist groups.
Police have disclosed that a fifth man has been under investigation in connection with alleged theft relating to the Lockerbie disaster. Earlier today, 4 men appeared at Dumfries Sheriff Court charged with theft offences. 3 of them were released on bail. The 4th was remanded in custody. A man is to appear at Lambeth Magistrates Court in London tomorrow, charged under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Edward Wadley was arrested after a young man was shot and injured while he was trying to break into a car in Battersea. Police say he faces 2 charges of conspiracy to cause explosions in the United Kingdom. Another person who was arrested with Wadley was released without being charged. That's it. We'll have more for you at midnight.
Thank you, Richard. And for the next 3.5 hours on Radio 1, a selection of the best album music of the 1970s.
Radio 1 FM. Richard Skinner.
Remember this golden classic.
Last time you hear that jingle tonight, I promise.